Talking to Christian. We're still in Colorado. We're coming back tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you're coming back to really good weather then.
It's good weather out here.
Okay.
Normally Mama Ruth or Jenny would do the introduction, so I guess we'll just do our introductions. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Barb Bacon, Mama Ruth, Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, and Stephen DeFiore. Today is December the 1st, the first day of December. November, we have 1 month left of 2021, and then 2022 is, wow, that's incredible. So we want to welcome back one of our frequent guests and friend and neighbor, Dr. B. Dr. Bohmfalk is actually his name, but I call him Dr. B as I continue to pronounce them.
Good idea.
different names. So, once again, welcome to Coffee Pan Dulce. We want to thank those who join us on Facebook Live, but also those who join us later on Facebook and also on YouTube as well. So with that said, let's go ahead around the Brady Bunch screen, where there's only 4 of us on Brady Bunch screen. I believe it's Dr. B first, and then Barbara. Please introduce yourself and any imaginary button you have so I can share us on social media. Dr. B.
George Bohmfalk. I'm a retired physician. It's not a artificial button or whatever you call it. It's a real button for Medicare for All, which is my primary advocacy. My second and third areas of advocacy are, of course, racial justice, Black Lives Matter, and prevention of or improvement in our handgun violence, as we're learning every single week, aren't we, with little episodes. So there are a lot of important things.
Good morning, I'm Barb Bacon, and I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte, and I kind of follow Dr. B's guidelines. I call it healthcare for all, because the minute I say Medicare for all, I get too many questions. Fine, everybody should have healthcare. It's not a privilege, it's a right. Gun violence is still at the top of my list. It doesn't seem like it's getting any better, it's getting worse. And my other issue is something a little more current due to some of the other groups that I deal with, and that's the homelessness situation. Again, is they're moving people, they're running out of money to keep them in hotels. It's going to be cold. What are we going to do about that? And I don't know the answer to it, but it's just one of my new things that I'm trying to help with.
Excellent. Hey, y'all did well. We do well without
without those long-winded other people.
Well, I do miss them.
Very sweet.
That's right. We do want to welcome St. Bernie, who is actually here. He's got a new chair, or actually a little table. St. Bernie is there with some candles and a rosary and a sign that says "Made in America by Immigrant Hands." That's actually from Manolo's Bakery, which always reminds me to say, well, before we do that, this is why I need the rest of the gang. Let's salute to our neighbors. I'm actually drinking coffee this morning. It's been a while since I've had coffee, but I got in late last night, so I needed coffee this morning. And we do want to thank our producer, sponsor, and supplier, Manolo's Bakery.
Ooh,
There's
nice.
all your pan dulce there. I don't know if you can see it. I've got the pig, Barbara.
Okay,
Manolo's
good.
Bakery on Central Avenue here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Please support your Black and brown small businesses and all small businesses during this global pandemic, but also, stock up for your holiday tamales and so forth. I have to tell y'all a tamale story whenever we have a chance. So with that said, I also want to, I don't know if Dr. B would get this, or Barbara, you probably would get it. I know Jenny would get this. I'm actually eating a breakfast taco this morning from Taco Cabana. I brought back coolers of tortillas and certain foods. So here's a bunch of tortillas from Taco Cabana that I brought back that I've got to freeze, and it'll last me hopefully a couple of months. And then I brought one of these back. This is a Whataburger. If anybody knows what a Whataburger is, I have.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I stopped. If you're traveling from Texas back to North Carolina, the last Whataburger that you can stop at is right outside of Birmingham, Alabama. It's the last Whataburger, and then there's no more Whataburgers. Yes, so I did stop at the very last one, and they forgot my fries, and I had to go back, and I said, listen, there's no more Whataburgers. So I'm so excited. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and talk about 3 current events that are occurring. If you want to comment, you can. If not, then, that's basically up to you. The first one is there are two GOP congresspersons that are in a cat fight. One of them called the other one trash, and now they're in a Twitter fight. One of them is Marjorie Taylor Greene. The other one is from Georgia, I believe. She is South Carolina. She's from South Carolina, and she is a freshman congressperson. And she was actually calling out the congressperson from Colorado for Islamophobic and being a bigot. And she said there's no place for that in the Republican whatever. And Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to jump in and called her trash, and they've been going back and forth fight. So it's really, so this is two Republicans arguing. The second one is, in case you do not have it, the clock is ticking. December 7th is the last day to sign up for Medicare for 2022, or that's the day that all the commercials will stop for the Medicare Advantage. So if we had a show on that, if it was a scam or not. And then thirdly, unfortunately, it's sad. When I got in last evening, I was watching the news, and there was a mass school shooting. It's the 624th mass shooting in America. A mass shooting is, I think it's 3 or 4 or more, not including the shooter, or that dies or so forth. So if you want to comment on any of those, please welcome. If not, then we'll jump into does anyone want to comment on any of those? I'm trying to look at the faces there.
I'll jump on this little internecine Republican squabble, because it originated with if I change my voting registration to Colorado, where I still am until tomorrow, Lauren Boebert would be my representative.
Oh no!
She's an embarrassment, except to the 60% or so of people out here who voted for her, right? Because they just love this. And so I'm very aware of that little dust up. And I heard somebody say on TV the other night that the leader of the Republican Party in the House is not Kevin McCarthy. It's Lauren Boebert and Gozar and Marjorie Taylor Greene, because they cause the most noise, and they get on Fox News most of these preposterous things. Now, the level-headed people out here in this district are basically kind of keeping their fingers crossed that before long, Lauren Boebert is going to cross the line and do something blatantly illegal. She's done a bunch of questionably illegal things, like opening a restaurant when there was a ban. You might not know, she has a restaurant in a town, unbelievably not far from here, named Rifle. How appropriate. And very conservative area.
Have you gone there?
And she has a little restaurant, a little cafe diner with her mother called Shooters. And she basically requires all of her wait staff ladies to wear guns, and she encourages all her customers. So it's only a matter of time before there's a big shootout in there, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's our involvement, Representative Boebert. The thing on the shooting, again, to carry on issues of guns up in Detroit, is just another example of getting out of control. And then wasn't the Rittenhouse issue another example of that? Oh, let's let everybody carry guns. What could possibly go wrong, right? So we're beginning to see it, and it's hard to imagine it's not going to get just worse. And I kind of see the only likelihood of anything changing enough public opinion to pull back on some of this freedom with guns is if somebody really prominent gets killed. I mean, we came pretty close with Gabby Giffords, several years ago. But it's got to have to be somebody even bigger than that, because of one of these loose gun kind of
police got gunned down, and they didn't do anything.
Well,
so
that's right. I know, it's just crazy. What was the third topic? I probably won't comment.
Medicare sign-up date is.
Oh, yes, I have to comment about that, and we did on the show. If anybody is signing up for Medicare and hadn't done it yet, do not get a Medicare Advantage plan. They are legal crime. They're ripping off the government and ripping off you. So no Medicare Advantage. That's all.
Okay. Barb, you want to comment on any of those?
The cat fight. Let them kill each other. I don't care. I'm just so tired of it. They're not doing their jobs, and why the voters up with that, I don't know. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to say. As far as Medicare for All, I think I've made sure that I've recruited everybody in my neighborhood, because they're older and they forget.
Yeah.
And gun violence, I I just don't know what to say about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to be harsh, but why didn't he shoot himself and save us some money? I really hate to be that way, and now he's not cooperating.
His parents have invoked his right to silence or something.
But you shot your fellow students, and one more is probably going to die, and we're supposed to be sympathetic to you? No, I'm sorry. I'm so against gun violence, and they just all the politicians on both sides of the fence sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. The GOP catfight has been very exciting for someone like me to watch because apparently it's a fundraising coup for whatever they have, whatever Marjorie Taylor Greene and then that congressperson from Colorado, I can't even pronounce her name, Barbert, is that?
Bo. Like Bohmfalk? Yeah. Boebert.
Boebert, okay.
Boebert.
Apparently every time they do something like that, they raise all kinds of money. And so that's obviously one of the reasons why they do it. I'm just incredibly surprised that I hope in 2022 that the people who live in those districts, even the fringe people who love them, they're not doing anything for their district. There's no value to their district other than their value to themselves, but there's no value to their district. And so, I don't know. I'm sure Jenny is going to have a lot to say when she comes back on the show next week. The Medicare thing, you do have to sign up by December the 7th. Also, I believe the marketplace is still open until somewhere around. So if you need Obamacare, if you need health insurance, go on there. Yeah, go on there and make sure you sign up. You may get a subsidy. You may not have to pay very much depending on your income. So health insurance, now's the time to go on and sign up for all of those things for 2022. The mass shootings is, of course, always tragic. And it is, you watch it and then you hear the you hear the sadness, and then you just, like all of you, I'm just dumbfounded that parents let their kids have guns. Even if it was a sporting gun, it should be locked up. But, I don't know. You're right. I guess something major, you would think, I don't know, 627 mass shootings already. That would be major.
Well, maybe like a shooting on a movie set, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's
sure.
And that's
it is. Yeah, I don't know what's going to have to happen, but something anyway. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure I'm a member of Moms Demand Action for gun sense legislation. I'm sure this is going to be something they'll be talking about. But speaking of that, my buttons are Medicare for all, healthcare for all, Moms Demand Action, gun sense legislation, and in my heart, Black Lives Matter, with Joe Oldham, who passed away a year ago, just last January of 2021. All right, so let's go into our topic today. The original topic was, have you had your COVID booster? But since this all came out about the Omicron, the new variant, excuse me, of the Delta, of the COVID variant, right? And so I had to look it up, and I remembered that they're naming the variants after the Greek alphabet, so they don't make the same mistake that they did in the past administration and name it after not where it originated, but who first discovered it. And I think the reason that's so important, because last night I was watching, even though that the first, I'm going to just read this real quick so I know it's correctly. Omicron is the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet. However, this variant technically is B-1-1-529, was identified in November 2021 in Botswana and South Africa. As of now, there are 197 cases have been identified in 17 countries. Here's the deal. Apparently, it was identified in South Africa because they have a very good testing system on how they can identify it, but it wasn't originated in South Africa. It just happens to be where it was identified. And so it's important that they named these after the Greek alphabet, because they would have called it this South African variant. And it didn't come from South Africa. They don't even know where it came from. They may have came from Europe. And so it's important to know that. And I didn't know this, but last night I also read that when the Spanish flu came out, it just so happened that the Spanish newspapers printed about the Spanish flu because there was no censorship in Spain during World War I, I believe, and that's where it came out, and it just be called the Spanish flu, but it didn't come from Spain. It was so I didn't know that, and so I think this is important. So we want to talk about that. And let's see, Dr. B, if you can maybe tell us what you know. I think this is all new. People are, I know they've stopped flights from countries from South Africa. Also, I think the World Health Organization has issued a warning for anyone under 60 flying internationally. I think that was issued yesterday, a recommendation. I don't know. What do you think, Dr. B?
I don't know much more than anybody, and nobody seems to know just a whole lot, but
Sure.
information is coming. And just like when COVID first kind of came out, President Trump unfortunately said, oh, it's going to go away and it's not going to be anything to it. Whereas the scientists like Fauci were kind of saying, we're learning every day and I'm going to change my mind. And, you're going to hear me say something today and I might say something different in 2 weeks because we're going to learn more. That's scientific progress. So right now it seems that what seems to be clear now is that this new Omicron variant is more contagious, more transmissible. In other words, there's a better chance of getting it if you come fairly close to somebody who has it. Whereas with the others, maybe you had to be a little closer, or, had to be exposed more often or something. So even though the original COVID was pretty darn transmissible and contagious and easy to catch, this seems to be even more so. Now, this one doctor I heard, public health doctor from South Africa, said, yeah, we're having lots of cases, but so far people aren't dying. And I believe, if it's correct, that these people aren't even in the hospital, that they're fairly mild cases, which would be wonderful, right? And so there seems to be three things. How rapidly does it communicate? Does it transmit from one person to the other? How sick you get with it? And the third one is, do the present vaccines protect against it? And the concern about that is evidently, and I'm no molecular scientist by any means, but everybody's heard about the spike protein, those little red things that look like golf tees stuck into a golf ball. It seems that these mutations are around the spike protein. So that's given scientists some concern of, oh my goodness, well, maybe that'll make it so that the antibodies that we get when we get our vaccine, maybe they won't be able to see it. Maybe they won't be able to, in other words, maybe it can hide from the vaccine, but that's unknown yet. And it may be that that's not going to turn out to be an issue at all. On the other hand, if it is, well, then it's like, okay, we need to kind of gin up a vaccine specific for this new one, which can be done, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So there's those three big unknowns, and 2, 3, 4 weeks we'll have a better idea. And yeah, like you say, that's a very good comment about the Spanish flu and about, well, we don't want to call this the Wuhan virus or the South African variant or anything because we don't know. And so far, haven't heard on the news this morning. I don't believe any cases have been identified in the United States yet, but it's almost a guarantee that it's here. And we just haven't found it yet because it takes a while to do these different. Yeah, definitely in Canada. So it's a lot of places. So kind of horses out of the barn. So we'll see what happens, and it may turn out to be a huge thing, which the stock market fears, and that's why it's been kind of dropping, and why various governments are reacting in ways that are kind of inconsistent. I think it's Japan and definitely Israel that I think has totally sealed their borders. My understanding is even if you're an Israeli citizen out of the country, they're not going to let you back in for some period of time. And it might just be a matter of days until things begin to sort out. There's a lot of criticisms about Biden's putting this travel ban from the South African countries. But, he's trying to do something, and you don't want to be irresponsible. And it's hard to know exactly what degree of caution should be taken at this point. So I'd say right now, it's a matter of prudence, and over and above, if you've not had your basic full vaccinations and your booster, get them now, because there's a really good chance that those will protect against this. So there's all the reason to get vaccinated and no legitimate reason not to.
Yeah, I don't know, Barbara, if you want to jump in to add anything. When I heard about this and I was on my way back from Texas, and of course my first natural fear is because I was in West Afghanistan. I thought, oh my goodness, I was going to get tested anyway when I came back. I did that the last time I went there, and I'll do it, I think, tomorrow or the next day. And my first fear was, I hope I didn't help spread it to someone, because we were making tamales with our family and only half of us were in masks and the other were, but we're all vaccinated. Everyone has the booster shot. I feel I'm not as panicky now than when we heard about the Delta virus. And I just think, because it just feels like we have adults looking at this, scientists, whereas in the past, we had no idea. And so I agree. I mean, I think just let's get vaccinated. Let's get your booster, as soon as you have the opportunity to, and then we will find out, what's going on. But Barbara, I mean, have you noticed anyone in your circle of people being concerned about this than maybe before?
The comments I hear, well, my neighborhood is primarily Republican.
Yeah.
So,
That's
another,
why.
and it's just like,
Exactly.
whatever, but I guess the saving grace
Mhm.
is grandchildren came over Thanksgiving and they were told,
Oh.
you can't see your grandchildren unless you're vaccinated.
Oh, wow.
Way to go, children, it's about time somebody has the upper hand in this. So more people are vaccinated.
Exactly.
So that's a good thing. But I just went to my primary care and she actually was a physician dealing with COVID patients. And she said her feeling is, at least from a medical professional, she wishes she could get numb to it. But what surprises her the most is the vehemence from people that are the anti-vaxxers, and they take it out on the healthcare workers. She goes, at the start of this thing, we were heroes. Not anymore. What happened? And what if we all just say, we're done? And she says, of course we can't do that, but it's really hard to treat people that aren't grateful.
Yeah.
And I felt really sorry for her, and to know, and she says, I'm hoping that this next variant is not worse than Delta.
Sure.
We have enough knowledge now that we can deal with it, as long as the government does what they're supposed to do. And Walensky says we've got more in our toolbox now, and we have some experience dealing with this. So perhaps we can be on the front end of it, not at the back end of it, like we were for both the beginning and the Delta variant. So I'm, fully vaccinated, boosted. I'm set to get my flu vaccine. And that is something that my primary said, vaccines, booster, flu shot.
Yeah.
Everybody that she's seeing by the end of the year, that's her checklist. So, and of course the pneumonia because of my age, but I already had that.
Yeah.
But she was really interesting to speak with, because she said she hears on the news that all these healthcare workers are leaving because they don't like the vaccine mandate. She says there isn't anyone that she knows of. It's more, they're sick and tired of the angry patients. And they don't want to put up with anymore. They're threatened, they're tired. And I don't know, I walked out of there and I just felt so sorry for them. And there was one guy sitting there without a mask, and security was coming to get him. So, and you know what? If that's what they have to do, then that's what they have to do. And my sympathy meter is this big. I just don't have it. I'm tired of pussyfooting around and changing my life because other people won't change theirs. And so I heard somebody on the other block got sick, and I'm like, oh, well. They're like, Barb, and I'm like, no, oh, well, I'm done feeling sorry for them. I've never felt sorry for them, but if they can't understand black and white and it's right in front of them and we're not fake news, all these people dying. I lost a grandfather, I lost an uncle. I have no humor about this, no sympathy. And I'm talking to my former colleagues in Rome, and they're like on pins and needles. They don't want another wave either. So they're tired. And why don't people believe that? They just started to open up elective surgeries again. We don't need to take another step back. It's going to be the holidays. We had a somewhat normal Thanksgiving. So, oh, and by the way, I walked in the turkey trot this year.
Oh, excellent.
It was fun. And it was easy because I didn't have to worry about cars backing out of driveways. I didn't have to watch for traffic. I had policemen saying, you can go this way, ma'am. Yeah, I was really fast. you're here already. I'm like, yeah. Where did you think I was going to be? You know, I was done, and it was pleasant. It was really cold, but if you keep moving, you don't feel it. So, but so that was my health thing. I said, good, now I can eat pie. So, but I guess we'll just roll with the punches like we have. And I feel better because they've got Pfizer's working on this pill that they're saying could come out in the spring. If you get COVID, they give you the pill. You don't even have to be hospitalized. That would be good. So, you know, we're making steps in the right direction. And maybe in a year or two, this can just be like the flu, right?
Yeah. Isn't that what we all said fully a year ago?
Yeah.
Yes, I know, but hope springs eternal here. I refuse to. I can't think about. I called the neighbor. I said, hey, it's going to be 70 tomorrow. We got to go to lunch. We can still eat outside. Let's do that. And I said, all right, okay, Friday night, we're going to break out weather record. We're going to be 76. We can go to Hickory Tavern and you can have wings and we can sit outside.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I refuse to be in a funk. I'm done dealing with it. It's just, I'm as protected as I can be. So,
yeah. Well, you know, Barbara, what you said, I think was really important because I think, and we kind of talked about this in the summer, but I think we're at this point now as we get almost 2 years. It'll be what? It's been a while. Yeah, it'll be almost 2 years. I think we have come to a point for those who want to protect themselves and their families, they're doing it. We're doing it, everything we can, even to the point of continuing to wear these. You guys remember these? This is like just such a simple thing, going shopping, especially during cold and flu season, and now, you know, all that stuff. So I think this is pretty much going to be a standard with us moving forward. You know, when we're indoors around when I went to the TCU game, when I was in Fort Worth, I wore a mask until I was drinking and eat some popcorn. Then I sat away from everyone else because it wasn't sold out. But you know, but those who aren't, who are the anti-vaxxers, the anti-maskers, they're going to be that way anyway. And it's, you know, their bark has become, we've kind of, all right, thank you, goodbye, you know. So
go die.
Well, you know, you know, they're I don't know how to politely say this on this show, maybe on the other one that we do, but you know, they are cleaning themselves, or they're I don't know,
they're purging their ranks.
Yes, that's kind of how it, and you know, maybe those are the ones that kind of like Barbara. I feel guilty by saying the old Catholic guilt makes me feel guilty just by saying it, but it's like maybe those aren't the ones we need, you know. And
well, Christian, we're gonna let God sort it out. That's
that's what's so remarkable about the Republican pushback on mask mandates and vaccination mandates and things like that. It's like, now wait a minute, these are your voters who you're basically consigning to go get sick and a certain percentage of them die. I don't know if I kind of hate to mention this, but you may remember this guy who used to be White House physician in the early Trump years, but they kind of fired him because he was passing out pain pills and sleeping pills to everybody on the Air Force One. His Ronnie Jackson. Then he ran and got elected to Congress from West Texas. Duh, of course. And so he evidently tweeted yesterday about the Omicron thing. He said, okay, here come those Democrats again with another excuse to make voting so easy to do fraud. So they ginned up this new variant as a way to win elections. And it's like, but Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert and all these folks really evidently believe that, or they can say it with a straight face. That's a little unclear, but you know, it's just more preposterous, just bizarre disinformation for political gain. But I guess that's always been with us and always will. So,
I mean, I guess that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it briefly, because this is a chance for us when this Omicron has been identified and come out. This is a chance that maybe we can address this correctly, where we didn't do that when COVID first started. And it was new to us when the Delta variant came around because the administration was still kind of getting together. But now I just feel more comfortable about this kind. I mean, I don't know if that's false comfort, but I feel I'm not panicking.
I
And
think that's good.
Sure.
And like Biden kind of said, this is a time to be concerned, but not panicky. It may
Sure.
turn out this is going to be worse than Delta. We don't know yet. God
Mhm.
willing, it won't. So far, it doesn't appear to be. But something to be concerned about, and if possible, to the extent we can, nip it in the bud. With good science and
Mhm.
common sense.
Right.
But we do know, I mean, and I did this before. Go ahead, Barb.
As long as we've got both vaccinations, the booster
Sure.
and the flu
Mhm.
shot, there isn't anything else they can give us. Masks.
And we have these.
Okay, I got a mask in my car, every purse I own, every coat I own. A box sitting in my garage in case I forget, it's like
Yeah.
standard operating procedure. Somebody needs a mask, I go, wait a minute, here
Exactly.
you go, and then they go walking away, it's just.
So this is one of my new ones. I got several new ones, and this is one of my new ones that I got. I don't know if anybody knows what this is, and I just realized how much I paid for it. I don't know if you can see that. It was $14.99. So I
You
may
got a
have, I probably should have bought that one online instead of at the Cowboy, the Cowboy Pro Shop.
Anything to help poor Jerry Jones, right?
That's right. That's right. Because gosh knows the officials aren't helping him. Well, I guess this is one of the reasons why it's so important. I saw the data yesterday, and they said about 60% of Americans right now, I think that was about 60 to 61% of Americans have at least their first shot, but only 20 something percent have gotten their boosters. They are hoping, I don't want to say, the good news is, I hope that this Omicron, before it gets where maybe it's can't control it, I hope this encourages people to go out and get their booster shot. I hope it encourages them, because we can continue to operate and try to combat our commerce and so forth, as long as we do the things we need to be able to keep things open. Because the only people that are going to keep us to close again are the anti-maskers and the anti-vaxxers. So if you're an anti-vaxxer and you're watching this, or an anti-masker and you're watching this, and we get the messages all the time from them. If you want things to be open, if you want, you're not the boss of me, then wear your mask. You don't want to get vaccinated, let's just try to do the things to keep your kids in school and so forth. And so we have the ability to control it. Now, if we don't, and if we go out and we do the things that probably wouldn't do during cold and flu season anyway, then it is possibility that, I guess, I hope we don't get to shut down again. But I think, I just don't feel like that's the case now, because I don't know, do y'all feel like that's a possibility? I guess we don't know, right? I mean,
anything's a possibility. I mean,
yeah,
right. Probably not, but I mean, who knows? I mean, viruses do terrible things, but generally, and I'm no stretch of imagination, a virologist or immunologist, but I've gotten the impression that generally a virus will come along and it's constantly mutating, right? Somewhere in all these little molecular changes, but that over time the virus seems to become weaker as it kind of goes. So hopefully this is just another one that's kind of popping up, but not really accomplishing much. Maybe Delta was going to be the worst example of a real effect. So that's good. That's some reason to be optimistic.
So you guys know that I was in Texas or West Afghanistan a month ago before Thanksgiving. I just came back again for Thanksgiving. When I was there a month ago, we had a death in the family, and we had a rosary at the chapel, and everyone was wearing a mask, and because not everyone was immediate family members. And I think there was one guy that wasn't wearing them. We all gave him the side eye, do you not see everyone wearing a mask? But we were not there for that person. We were there for the death of the family member. And then the church, everyone was wearing masks, and at St. Patrick's, the huge cathedral. And then our family made the decision, and I was very nervous about this, to have a gathering with immediate family members, where my family, immediate family members, is like 50. And with aunts and uncles and first cousins. And someone came in from Indiana, and then also from Arizona and Tampa. We did a Zoom call. The grandkids did a Zoom call because our aunts, our moms and dads were still grieving from the situation. So we had a safety Zoom call, And we talked, I reached out to, and Dr. B had given me some advice, and I reached out to someone else as well. And we all talked about the people that we know that are vaccinated. Let's make sure everyone wear a mask if you feel comfortable. We got into this little like recreational center. We sat there, ate, took pictures and so forth. I was so nervous after that occurred because people's masks came off. All of our aunts' masks came off. I told my cousin who I was staying with, 4 days later, we'll find out if what we did was correctly. Not that I know of, a month has gone by and everyone was okay. And when I was back this last time, I told them this proved, it was not scientific, but everyone got vaccinated that we know of. Everyone has gotten their booster shots. Everyone's doing the protective. We're doing everything that we need to do. And the ones that didn't, they were fully aware as adults what could happen and so forth. But with the data, that we need at least like 70-something% of people vaccinated for herd immunity, or is that kind of what they were kind of guessing?
Like that, yeah.
We were I think so. We were 99% because there's only 2 family members who aren't vaccinated. So I do think in that group, hey, the vaccine seemed to work with us. That's not scientific. Who knows if anyone's watching this, they can do a study on us and see if maybe, I don't know.
Well, here in up the road in Aspen a couple of weeks ago, they had a hockey tournament with folks coming in, and they had 40 cases associated with that hockey tournament.
Wow.
Well, there you go. And I think that was a combination of the proximity and a lot of them not being vaccinated, no masks, and so it's still out there.
But I also, on the way back from Thanksgiving, I got back last night. On the way back, I was going to stop in Atlanta to visit a friend of ours who I was with when I caught COVID of January of last year.
Yeah.
And we both have recovered and got our booster shot. Well, when they opened up travel to Europe, he went to visit friends in England and just got back a week ago. When this Omicron thing came out, I politely said, I'm just going to go directly home.
Good idea.
Well, they said this morning that they're not sure where it came from, but they said you're a source. So,
well, I definitely didn't want to stop. I didn't want to stop at a place where someone came back from
another country.
Another country. So I think there is polite ways of saying, let's just see each other at another time.
Yep.
And
Atlanta's not that far away.
Right. Yeah. Well, I waved as I went through Atlanta into traffic. But I do think the booster shots are becoming, and it is really, when I got my booster shot, I don't know about y'all, and Dr. B, you may have got, I don't know if you've gotten yours or whatever the case in Colorado. It's very well run here in Charlotte. It's easy to make an appointment. Yeah, it takes maybe the whole process for me probably took less than 5 minutes. It was very, very simple. I took my card. It was a very simple process. I actually did the Pfizer for the first 2 shots, and then we decided to do the Moderna because they allowed us to mix. And I got the Moderna for the booster shot. Left me a little sore, but I followed Rafael Preto's advice, who was on our show several times, and I drank vodka, and I didn't feel anything that night. Don't advise that, right, Dr. B? That's probably not good medical.
Hey, if it works.
Hey, take the pain away, whatever, right?
That's right. So is anyone concerned about the holidays that are coming? Well, we're in the holidays now. Is anyone concerned about, you're still in Colorado, Dr. B, and Barb, are y'all concerned about traveling or anything?
I'm not traveling. I'm not getting on an airplane yet. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Well, we traveled out here in May, and double masked, and everybody was very respectful. It was, I think I commented on a previous show that this is the first time ever in an airplane where people left the plane in an orderly fashion. They say, okay, first 5 rows, the rest of you shut up and stay in your chairs. And we got up just like school children, 5 rows at a time. And so everybody was distanced, and I'm comfortable that the filtration, you're probably safer on an airplane than you are in the terminal. But anyway, so we're going to be flying back to Charlotte tomorrow. I don't have any concern at all. My wife is a little bit anxious about it, just, being in this confined area with people, but I wouldn't by any means be in an airport around Thanksgiving or Christmas when there's all the congestion and people are crowded in. It's amazing how many people feel that they kind of have to do that, because it is a risk, and all the other downsides to traveling during these heavy times. Well, we had the big spike at Christmas last year, right? And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a little spike again, just because so many millions of people are going to be congregating and doing festive things and taking the masks off. And, there's the old mistletoe. So we'll probably see a little spike. It's probably not going to be as catastrophic as it was before, God willing. But that depends on what the Omicron has to say about it, doesn't it? So, time will tell.
And by then we'll know
probably a lot
more about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what everyone's saying is that, it's going to be a couple of weeks before they find out
exactly
what is the situation with this. And we're talking about it very, very early now, because I think it's important for us to think about this, to talk what we're going to do, because, don't let your guard 100% down. But I don't think, and I know we've talked about this before, COVID has changed a lot. And Jenny says this all the time. COVID has changed the way we do things, and it will for many of us. For some people, they want it back to the old days where, that's just what they are. That's just the kind of people they are. But I will never, in cold and flu season, walk around without a mask. If I'm around, I'm going to I wash my hands all the time. I stayed in a hotel traveling. I've always wiped everything down. When I was in Texas, I actually, speaking of someone, when I was in Texas, I walked with my mask when I went into Taco Cabana, when I went to go eat with my mom at Mexican restaurants. No one, there were other people who wore masks, all their servers wore masks. I was expecting maybe one person would say something, because you hear about these kind of, everyone's been, I hope those days of, I believe it is getting better. I don't know. That's just maybe, I don't know.
Well, isn't it funny that 5 or 6 years ago, after the SARS epidemic in Asia, that even after that seemed to kind of pass, if you'd see a picture of Hong Kong or, Beijing or something, about every fifth person or something had a mask on. We thought, those silly people, those crazy paranoid people wearing masks. Yeah, they probably didn't get a cold that year either. And so I think we are they now. We've kind of been educated. You bet.
Well, we aren't as spoiled as we used to be. I mean, look at what our flu statistics were last year. Hardly anybody got the flu. And
right, exactly.
They probably weren't wearing a mask. So I don't.
I think in a couple, we'll look back in 4 or 5 years. I think the people who are wearing a mask will be considered the more, I think it'll be a good sign. Those are the people who are protecting themselves, protecting their families. And I hope that it'll become less. We do have someone joining us. I don't know if she can hear us. Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. Jenny, how are you? Are you on the road?
I'm actually parked.
Okay.
While somebody's taking care of business, so
yes.
I'm on till the end of the show. So
excellent.
But I'm in an undisclosed location in a bunker somewhere. But anyway, I mean, I guess you're talking about COVID and
Omicron.
Omicron. Oh,
yes.
Delicious.
Delicious that I can pronounce it, or delicious that we're talking about it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I read a New York Times article about it, and some of the politics around it here in the United States and Europe, and of course different nations in Africa, and there's some interesting things that are really coming out about it. One, a lot of people don't realize that countries like South Africa, there's a lot of resistance to getting vaccinated. In fact, they've got 16 million dosages of COVID vaccine in reserve because vaccine acceptance is so low in that country. Which was a very interesting statistic. A lot of people think that all the African nations are under vaccinated because of economics, and it's not actually true in all nations. There's 4 or 5 of the nations in the southern part of the continent that actually have the dosages, and they're asking them not to send anymore until people start using them up,
Okay.
and so that's part of the dynamic of why you may be seeing some variants emerging. And the other thing too is, probably there's a good chance that Omicron actually started in Europe.
Well, yeah, that's what we talked about. Yeah.
Is that it's actually been around probably longer than we realize. It's just like all the other variants, Delta, maybe flared up, worse in India again, because they didn't have a widespread vaccination adoption. But the lesson, I guess, to be learned, and y'all probably already said it, is vaccines sure do slow down the variants, and they slow down the spread. And you look at New York City, I don't know if you talked about this, but in the last 3 days, there's not been a single death in a city of 10 million plus people.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But they're over 80% vaccinated as a city.
Wow.
And, so you would have slowed down death, you would have get back to normal. Well, we've been using vaccines for hundreds of years for that very reason, is to live peaceably next to each other. And if you want to promote death and dissension, spread of contagious airborne disease, a virus, and it's really just the bottom line between common sense and no sense. And it doesn't matter what your reason is; it's still stupid. I mean, even a legit conservative would actually want vaccination as a mainstream thing, because you would be protecting society, and true conservative values would be protecting this country at all costs. Look at the insane amount of things and resources we threw at 9/11, and to air quote protect American way of life and American society and American democracy. We spent $8 trillion and killed over 1 million people in other countries, and put in all kinds of Patriot Acts and all kinds of restrictions, and created entire departments of federal government that we didn't have before. And now you can't go through an airport without getting a body cavity search almost. And
I would cautiously, and I say cautiously, be curious to hear what the conservative libertarian participants in this show would have to say about this, because I think they're intelligent enough to realize we got a public health issue, but they are so riveted to their my body, my choice until it comes to abortion, no mandates and all that. I mean, if they could say it in 25 words, I'd love to hear what they had to say, but I know they can't do that.
Don't you think, Dr. B,
go ahead, Jen.
it's a bizarre flex for them to be using the my body choice, but yet, but we moved heaven and earth to, air quotes, again, protect our country against a one-time attack.
That's right.
That lasted one day, not even a full day, a few hours. It did kill, thousands of Americans. But if you compare it to this almost 2-year-old, invasion of a virus that doesn't care whether you're a Republican or Democrat, they don't want to give resources to protect against this. And they don't want to change the way they live at all.
Well, one of my favorite comments on a situation like that, one of those, what do they call that, a cognitive dissonance, where you have these conflicting ideas in your mind, is, damn, it just escaped me. Okay, I'll think of it in a moment. Well, go ahead.
Well, Jenny, I understand what Dr. B was saying, and Jenny, you and I have these conversations all the time about just things in general. But one of the concerns I have, and we have co-hosts on here that are libertarian, and one of the great things about some of the libertarian ideas is they're always consistent, whether it's their the problem with being consistent. Well, the problem with being consistent is when it becomes a health crisis, adults have to pivot. And they are acting like children who will stick to the guns just to be right instead of doing what's right. And that's what I think COVID has done. It has separated the adults from people who just want to be right. And that is what I think we're learning. I don't know, Jenny, if you agree with that or not, but
Well, I mean, partially,
yeah.
you're way too nice to conservatives because the truth is, most people grow out of the might makes right by age 5. That's what
Yes.
psychology.
Yes.
Unfortunately, conservatives and libertarians don't grow out of that. That's what makes them conservatives and libertarians, is that they believe might always makes right. And so when they throw their little man-child tantrum, and I don't want to wear a mask, I don't want to get an ouchie, I don't want to change. When you have death on the line, and you're actually literally killing your neighbors, you're actually killing people of like-mindedness.
Right.
That almost everybody that's died this year, which has been over 400,000 people just in this year alone, 98% of them are Republicans. 98% of them are unvaccinated.
How smart is that to kill your own party? I mean, that's just totally illogical.
And in states like you shouldn't want to kill anybody, but not only do they want to be right, but they really, really want to be a power. So what they're saying is that they flex on anything if they give in at all. They're giving in to the liberals, socialist, communist people. And the moment they do that, 2 things are going to happen. One, they're going to have to admit that they were idiots, and that's hard for them to do. And two, it also proves that there is other points of view. And and conservatives, one thing they like to do is hold on to power no matter what, and that's typical of most fascists. They can't there can't be dissension in the ranks. That's 200 years ago they wiped out people like us. They just just went away. They rounded you up and put you on reservations. They dropped you in the bottom of the ocean. But now that we have social media and we can actually publicly dissent and fight back, and we've been fighting back for a couple generations, they don't like that. That's why their hair is on fire. That's why they have to create a false narrative, is that they've got to normalize death. Death rather than making the right choice.
So hey, Jen,
I remember the little epigram that I was trying to think of, and that's when you hear all this kind of stuff that really kind of doesn't make logical, consistent sense. You have to come to realize we're not talking about the vaccine here. We're not talking about COVID. We're talking about these bigger issues of control and power that Jenny was kind of talking about. So, they're using these as kind of proxies, for their bigger issue, because speaking about it scientifically, it doesn't make sense. It's indefensible. So,
and that's kind of, and we only have about 7 minutes left, actually 6 minutes left, but that's kind of what they say. What they say is, it's not about wearing a mask. It's about a bigger, at this moment, it's about saving lives. We can talk about other things, and that's what you can't get past them. But real quickly, Jenny, before we have to kind of start to sign off, what do you think about, because I was hoping you joined us, I knew you wouldn't be able to join us till a little bit later, but what do you think about the cat fight between the GOP women?
I think it's great. They, it's a long time coming, but I said this last year. I said, ultimately, what's going to always does do Republicans in or other Republicans, because they're always jockeying for power. Conservatives and progressives always love power, and there's always another person in line that says, well, they've had their day. I'm going to take that power no matter how. I mean, we saw that with Newt Gingrich in the 90s. He stomped a hole into Bob Dole and sunk Bob Dole's, presidential hopes just to move up the food chain. And then somebody sunk Newt, and they always do this. They'll eat their own at all costs.
That's why it's always so fun. That's why it's always so funny when I hear people who come on this show, even some of our co-hosts, who say Democrats eat their own. No, we can disagree with each other, but we don't eat each other. They literally eat each other. Give an example. Dan Bishop, who is the congressperson, my congressperson, who's now going to be running in a seat he doesn't even live in because he wants to hold on. He's so anxious to hold on to the seat. He is actually the one who spearheaded Liz Cheney losing her, and he's proud of it. He's told everyone, I'm the one who raised my hand and said we need to kick Liz Cheney out of the leadership. He is also the one who just recently wants to kick the other chair people because they voted for the infrastructure bill. So he is trying to kick his own Republicans out. And I have a feeling during the 22 elections, the Republicans here are going to pay him back by primarying him. And,
Well, and two, he wasn't the only one. So Madison Cawthorn was also saying, "Oh, we're going to primary all the Republicans that voted against the infrastructure deal." So, I'm like, well, that could backfire. I mean, careful what you ask for. And I think one, it speaks to their desperation because literally everything that they're going to run on in 2022 is based on a lie.
Yeah.
It's all based on hair on your fire politics, fear tactics. They're gonna they've tried to manufacture all these school board issues and all these other things that don't even exist. They're trying to create another boogeyman like Reagan did with the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was collapsing before Reagan even took office, but made them sound like they were this virile, powerful empire when 80% of their tanks couldn't even drive. Couldn't even drive.
Hey Jen, we need to wrap up here. But I thought what was the funniest part of the cat fight between the two congressional women is Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, "I talked with Donald Trump, and we're going to take care of you." To the other one, is that like my daddy told me that we're going to? It's like that's stuff that like kindergarten kids say to each other.
Well, I mean. Anyway. You hit it on the head. The lack of maturity with the majority of the people as they stomp their feet like they're a child in Toys R Us and didn't get their toy. I want my Star Wars toy now.
Yeah, that's right.
It just, I mean, that's it's not it's not shocking. I mean, you could predict this.
That's right.
When this starts collapsing, it's going to collapse really hard.
Who's next? Because all they do is get more outrageous to be in the limelight and push the other one out, and it's just like.
Well, Barbara, I know we ran out of time because we got to wrap up here, but I know you had been mentioning with your circle of friends in South Charlotte about how concerned they were about Democrats not being in control. We still have a long way between the 22 elections. I just hope that we remind them, do you want the crazies? Or do you want the party that's passed?
One of my neighbors is one of the crazies.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, hopefully,
because he knows.
Hopefully, level heads will see, and we can talk to our friends and say, listen, it's been nice over the last 11 months or however long our new administration. All right. So let's wrap up here. Let's go around the Brady Bunch screen. Tell us where you're going to be in 30 seconds or less. I just want to remind everyone that next week's show, we are actually talking about PBS. So I encourage everyone before next week's show to watch 4 hours of daytime PBS. Any of the 4 channels, they have 4 channels of PBS. Watch them during the daytime. The evening, great shows. I watched one last night about prisons. It was another form of slavery. It was a documentary on PBS. But watch daytime shows. Watch 4 hours of daytime PBS. And we're going to be talking about, is PBS still taxpayer-funded all-white TV? And then the next week, we will be talking about Who Was Brown Jesus? And then on the 22nd, Jenny and ours favorite show, the Festivus Show 2021. Please bring your list of grievances, the Festivus Show, and then we'll be saying goodbye to 2021 on the last show. So with that said, the Brady Bunch screen, we're looking at, it looks like Dr. B, Barbara, and then Jenny. Tell us where you're going to be in 30 seconds or less, please.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be getting on a plane flying back to Charlotte, back in the area.
I'm going to be making my weekly trek up to Winston-Salem, and then I think, is it 2 Mondays after this? You're taking Tira next week, and then I'm taking her the next week. So yeah.
I'm going to a Charlotte Pride holiday party tomorrow night. It's it's our end of the year party. We didn't have one last year, obviously, for many reasons. It's very small. It's mostly for the board of directors and all the coordinators and chief volunteers. that make Charlotte Pride happen in some form or fashion every year. We do a small gathering of people and just kind of say goodbye to that year and celebration that we made it through another year, another Pride season. So it'll be fun. It's lighthearted and relaxing. That's pretty much most of what I'm doing besides working the rest of the month is doing this wrap up stuff.
Yep, wrap up the year.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I will be here doing something. I got a lot of leaves to mulch over the next couple of days. It's amazing how many leaves. I think we're like at the end of the leaf falling season, so I'm going to mulch them all and so forth. And then I just want to let you know, Jenny, sometime the next couple of weeks, I will give you, I brought you back. I don't know if you saw this first part of the show. I've got your tortillas from Taco Cabana. I've got a Whataburger that is in the refrigerator just for you. But I also
that travels well.
Yes, well, yeah, we'll see how. I did try to keep it safe in a cooler and so forth, but I don't know how. I've never warmed a Whataburger up, so we'll see if that's the case.
You'll find
So
out.
one of my cousins who was teaching us how to make tamales, we did a tamale class this year, which was, it's really easy. It's just time consuming. It's like making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for like 100 people. That's really what it is. Yep. Okay. So one of my cousins, her house, beautiful house in Bedford, Texas, which is, I don't know if anybody knows where Bedford is, outside between Dallas and Fort Worth. Their houses were built on pecan groves. And you just go in their front yard and you just pick all kinds of pecans. I have all kinds of pecans here that I'm going to give some to Jenny. I don't know, Jenny, can you eat pecans? I forgot.
Yeah, they're plant-based.
Oh, okay. All right.
Christian, you know that a good Christmas gift is a whole bunch of pecans. A great Christmas gift is a bunch of shelled pecans.
Well,
Yes.
that
Yeah,
was what
they're hard to
you stole my punchline, Dr. B. So the whole thing is, in Texas, you can take this whole bag. It's tons of pecans. I don't know how many. So you can take this bag to like a farmer's market, and they have these machines that break them for you.
Yeah.
If anyone knows where there's a place here, let me know, because breaking all these is going to be difficult. So
While you're watching PBS break pecans.
that's right. That's right. So,
TV watching project. Yes.
that's right. So with that said, I want to thank everyone for joining us. We do hope you have a wonderful December, and get out and do what you need to do. Please stay on if you don't mind, Dr. B, Barb, and Jenny, so we can do a promo. And we will end with, let's see if this works. I have all new technology here. Well, it never works with me. This is called the crying song. All right. Well, okay. Well, that's it. Okay. All right. Bye, y'all. We'll see you next week on Coffee and Pan Dulce.